Welcome to Mind the Business Radio, the radio show that helps you grow your business. And now, here's Suzanne, Darwin, and Ernie. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Mind the Business Radio, M.T.B. Radio. I'm Darwin.
I'm Ernie.
And I'm Suzanne.
And we are so glad to have you guys with us today and, joining in on the M.T.B. family. You can go to our new website, which is www.mtbradio.net. It's our new website, and you can join us there, sign up, and you'll be able to get updates and new show updates and everything in your email. How cool is that?
Works for me.
Yeah, we also have a donate button there that kind of scrolls across the top. So if you are inclined to help us out, just click that, and that's pretty easy too. Ernie, who's our guest today?
Yes. Today we are going to talk about social entrepreneurism for those business owners that want to start a foundation for charitable causes. Our guest today is Patricia Wenskunas. She is the founder CEO of Crime Survivors, Inc. and has gained national renown for her tireless advocacy on behalf of the victims of violent crime. She is also a business owner, so she knows both the profit and the nonprofit side of it.
We're nonprofit.
Yeah, but our definition of nonprofit is different from hers. We just don't make money.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay, all right. Yeah.
She gives away money and services. So Patricia's civic involvement extends well beyond the organization she founded. She is the founder and former CEO of Orange County Crime Stoppers, an advisory board member of Cal VCP, which is a victims compensation program. Is that right, Patricia?
Yeah, the Victim Compensation Government Claims Board.
Yeah. And she's also an advisory board member at Crime Victims United and a past board member of California Crime Stoppers and the Children's Advocacy Center. So, Patricia, welcome to our show.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate the opportunity.
So, you do have a compelling story why you started Crime Survivors. Can you tell us a little bit about why you decided to start this organization? And besides, this is full disclosure, I am also on the board of Patricia's organization and board member and secretary. So go ahead, Patricia.
Thanks, Ernie, and thanks for your commitment and your dedication to victims of crime in our community as well. When I look back and I think about how I started the organization compared to where the organization is today, and realizing that, it's not my organization, it's the community's organization, and it's become such a team effort within the community to be able to have people come forward to want to make a difference and speak up. And to me, when you think about a nonprofit, that's what you want. Obviously, it takes one person to start something, and a lot of times it comes out of either pain of something that they've endured in their personal life, or something that a family or a friend has gone through in their life, and now they want to be able to make a difference in their local community, and then, it expands to the state level or to a national level. And some organizations stay as grassroots organizations, what I like to refer to as in the gutter, doing the work day in and day out, and that may not get nationally recognized or get some of the government or federal funding that's needed to be able to run their programs and services. So for me personally, starting a nonprofit organization in the city of Irvine after I survived attempted murder, I just wanted to be able to have one other person not go through the journey in my first half of my life that I feel like I went through as a victim of a crime, at the young age of 8, and again at 15, and at 20, and again at 32, surviving attempted murder. And so it was a calling. I feel like for me, with faith there is hope, and God gave me a true blessing and a gift to be able to start this nonprofit, to be able to survive and thrive and break the cycles in my own life, but to be able to pass that on to other people.
When you started the nonprofit, was that difficult? I mean, what was all the everything else going through your head and all the other things that you were dealing with, how did you start the nonprofit?
So when I look back and I think about that, because I get asked that question a lot, and I get a lot of calls from other individuals that want to start a nonprofit, and they're like, will you help me to start my nonprofit? And I'm always willing to help anybody to do anything. As long as it's going to make a difference and it's legal and it's just in the community, I'll do whatever I can to help someone else. But when I personally look back and I think, well, gosh, what were the steps that I took to start a nonprofit like this? And it's a lot of it is a blank, to be honest, because I had survived attempted murder and went right into starting this nonprofit organization. So there wasn't a lot of downtime. But I do know that for me, I feel like I was guided and led, and just with the business background and being able to, most people that start a nonprofit, in all honesty, they go through a lawyer. A lot of them right now contact LegalZoom or a lawyer, but then there's a lot of fees and a lot of expenses to be able to go through that, because you have to apply. You have to get tax exempt, and depending if you want to be a 501c3, if you want to be a 501c4, and then there's also many additional codes that you have to be able to apply for, whether or not you want to be incorporated, whether you don't. So there's whether you want to be a nonprofit, whether you want to be a foundation to where you give away money, or do you want to have programs and services for the community? Do you want to have staff members? There's so much to look at. But when I look back myself, all I know is that I filed the documents myself, which I can't even imagine, to be honest, what those documents must look like. Again, because just for me, I had post-traumatic stress disorder and depression and anxiety so bad. So I'm sure me writing those documents out weren't the best. And not that I knew the best on how to fill them out, but I did. I got 3 individuals that wanted to be able to join us, and, started with 4 of us, basically, filed all the documents with the state, filed a business license with the city, figured out what name to come up with, opened a bank account. So there were so many things that I followed that I did in my own personal business that also followed hand in hand with the nonprofit. Okay.
Does a nonprofit kind of mirror, resemble a profit company as far as setting it up? Or is there a big difference?
I think it's different. Definitely. I think that a nonprofit is because obviously you're not going to be profitable, and you have to be able to come up with it's similar in the sense of, you have to find out, in a business, what are you going to do? What are your goals? What are your objectives? What are you selling for product? Similar to the nonprofit, you want to come up with a mission statement. You want to come up with a vision. You want to come up with, what are you going to be doing in the community that you're going to be, collecting donations, because again, it's the community's organization. It doesn't belong to one person. So like for our board of directors, they oversee the organization. It's their organization as much as it is mine. So it's not my organization any longer. Where if you're a business owner, that's pretty much your business. You take ownership of all the decisions. I don't have all the decisions. Like, I have to be able to get approval through a board of directors in order to be able to do what I do day in and day out.
Like most business owners, you have business owners that say, "Hey, it's my way or the highway," but that's not. You just mentioned that's not so with a nonprofit, right? You're accountable. No. You're not. You obviously you have to have every dollar that comes in, and it was always extremely important to me because it's not my organization. It's not my final decision. It's not my place to say everything. I mean, obviously I'm the founder CEO, and I like to, kind of take charge and kind of guide the organization because it's my heart and passion that wants to be able to help people. So
for me, I wanted to always be very transparent and making sure that every penny into the organization would be going out, keeping in mind of what that donor wanted in the best interest of the donor, in the best interest of the victims that we're helping.
Okay. So a sole proprietor business, regular business, can be run just by a single person. But a nonprofit, does it have to have a board of directors?
Yes, you
It
have
does.
to have it, and
Okay.
you have to have bylaws. So you have to have, for me, going through and writing out all the bylaws, and I actually, we redid our bylaws. I forget, like maybe 3 years into it, and kind of went through everything with an attorney that volunteered his time and services to rewrite our bylaws and to make sure that everything was documented correctly. Making sure that we had approval of the Internal Revenue, codes of the 501c3, because you have to follow the state laws. You have to make sure that you have, either a president or a chairperson, secretary, treasurer, and then a board of directors. And dependent on your bylaws on whether or not some organizations have 4 board members and that's it, and some have 35. I was told by someone in the beginning, they were like, Patricia, you should never have more than 5 or 6 board members because it's like you become a babysitter or a daycare worker. But for some of the larger grants and funding, you should at least have 25. But, through the years, we've had, at one time I think we had 18, and then we had 13, and now we have 9. And in all honesty, I think the person that was guiding me years ago that had her foundation, I think she was actually right. I think a smaller board is better because you also want to be able to go to your board and you want to make sure that they're committed. You want to make sure that they're giving money. You want to make sure that they're attending your programs and your events. You want to make sure they're looking over treasurer reports and secretary documents and that they're approving everything. And frankly, you want to make sure that your board, uniquely to our board, is I'm the founder CEO. A lot of nonprofits don't have that. But I don't want our board members to vote yes just because I vote yes. So I usually hold my vote till the end because I want other people to be able to give their opinions and their feedback, not just based on me.
Okay.
Is it hard to find a board of directors? Where the heck do you find such people?
You know what?
Oh,
We have to take a break.
I'm sorry.
I hate to do that, but you know what? Hold that question because we can come back to it. Everybody, you're listening to Mind the Business Radio. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
That's okay.
Hey, got to pay the bills.
What?
What
With
bill?
what?
With what? Yeah, we're a nonprofit. Anyway, we'll be back right after this.
Does your business sell products or data to customers in Europe? Do customers from the European Union stay at your hotel or bed and breakfast? If you answered yes, then a new international law applies to you. It's called GDPR, and it could potentially bankrupt your business if you choose to ignore it. To find out more about GDPR, go to www.mindthebusinessradio.com and click on the GDPR Turbo Pack link.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mind the Business. I'm Ernie Costello.
I'm Darwin Strong.
And I'm Suzanne Strong. Thank you for listening.
I didn't mean to cut you
That's
off.
okay.
Yes. Anyway, we've been talking to Patricia Wenskunas, founder, CEO of Crime Survivors, Inc., about social entrepreneurism and how to start and operate a nonprofit organization. So before we went to a break, Suzanne had a question. So
I
Suzanne.
did. I'm just amazed, Patricia, that you've got that many people on your board of directors. But how do you find such people? Do they come to you? Do you try to recruit them? They seem to have an unusual skill set, or at least unusual interest. How do you find such people?
Well, yeah, and it really depends on what the organization is. Obviously, our organization is a little bit sensitive, and it's not always easy to be able to get people to be committed to it, especially in today's climate. But for me, it started with just having a couple business people and a couple friends of mine, and that's how it originally started. That believed in what I wanted to be able to do and had worked with me on my business. so they knew that I had, the qualifications in order to run through this. And then it changed through the years. Usually, depending on bylaws for organizations, some people have 1 year commitment, some people have 2, some people have 3, and some people you can extend it as many times as you want and stay as long as you want, depending on the bylaws. But, some people come and go through the years, some stay for a long time. And some organizations change their boards completely and get rid of all of them and start fresh throughout the years or the cycles. So it really depends. But for me, I wanted to make sure that it's someone that can be committed, someone that can be trustworthy, someone that believes in the mission and the services that our organization is putting out there into the community, and that can also be transparent. And someone that shows up and not just speaks up or shows up. And there's been people through the years that, either use or come to the organization, whether it's ours or someone else, just so they can hand their business card out, or they can grow in their career, or they can do whatever. And that's okay, too. You come and go as you can. Some people agree to disagree on certain things. I mean, I've had people through the years say, well, we don't like the logo. We should change that. We should change this. We don't like that you talk about faith. So it just depends. But you want to have people that are committed, and you want to have a variety of individuals, business owners, maybe executives, maybe survivors themselves, or if you're running an organization, someone that, believes has walked that walk of that journey within what your mission serves.
Okay.
Well, I have to tell you, when I first met Patricia...
Stop it, Ernie.
Go ahead.
She called me every month for 6 months until I said yes.
Oh, she did? Oh.
Yeah. Oh, she was persistent. Okay.
She is.
Gently persistent.
Yes.
I know Patricia. She's really a lovely person. So, I know you too, Ernie, and you're not so lovely.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
No, anyway.
I am very well known for being persistent. That is definitely true. But
nothing wrong with that.
But I don't think I force anybody to do anything they don't want to do.
And that's true, because when someone hands Patricia their business card, the first thing she asks them is, "Are you sure you want me to have this?"
That's right.
Well, you know what? There really is.
I like that. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with being persistent. I know that you have another business, so you're running 2 businesses, and you've got to keep them both going. So you must be extremely busy.
Well, listen, if I wasn't persistent, I would not get, the donations that our organization gets. Let's be honest. My average ask before I receive a donation is 7 times before I get anything. And sometimes I think they either feel like, oh God, I just got to give her something so she leaves me alone. Or I forgot and now I'm convinced to give something. But, for me, I live, eat, sleep and breathe this organization. I have for 16 years. Pretty much, even though I have my other business, I pretty much don't do that because there's not enough hours or minutes or seconds in my day. But like this month, I took 3 catering jobs. I have a catering event planning business. I took 3 jobs, and even though they didn't pay a lot, it actually gets me outside of the nonprofit daily stresses and triggers of dealing with murder and attempted murder and rape and domestic violence and sexual assault and all of that, to be able to go get, to do some catering and have some fun.
Have some fun.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked one of those jobs.
I was just going to ask that. Yeah. Is Ernie a good server?
Really?
I know he's got the suits and stuff, but does he have the server tux, and does he have the talicles around his arms?
No, really, I want to know.
Ernie is very committed to follow through, and I think he takes the lead and the guidance very well.
Okay, good. Yeah. I'm happy.
Why don't you do that here?
Because I don't have a good leader like here, like I do over there.
Oh my gosh! So you're busy. Do you have time to do? I mean, you got the catering and you have the nonprofit, but do you do stuff just to unwind?
I tend to eat 5-pound boxes of chocolate.
Okay.
Well,
And
this is how committed she is. We had to force her to take a cruise a few years ago. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that very well, and they did force me to do it, which was good, and it was much needed, and I do trainings and classes, especially to law enforcement, where I talk to them about self-care and vicarious trauma and compassion fatigue and all of that, but I'm not really good at practicing what I preach, to be honest.
Yeah, I just hope you weren't thinking about the organization while you were on that cruise.
Probably. Come on.
I was answering all my emails and phone calls,
Sure.
doing all of my work, to be honest.
So this really sounds like a calling. You have to have something in you that really drives you to change the world or save something or do something good for somebody. Do you have to have that kind of a personality to start a nonprofit? Does it help?
I don't think you have to have it, but for me personally, I feel like, again, my faith is everything, so I feel like when God calls, I show up. And so for me, I do feel that this was a calling. It totally was not what I had known before. And so I think every day I'm guided to be able to do this. And some days when I'm frustrated or, do I think I'm making a difference, I'll, stop and pray and ask God, and then I'll get a sign that, yes, I should be doing this. But, there are other people that get in this movement for many different reasons. And, some can sustain and some can't. But for me, I never made it about the money. I made it about the mission and the purpose and what's in my heart and soul. And so I think that when people get in it for that reasons, I think you can sustain it for the long haul.
Okay. Because I was just thinking of Eunice Kennedy Shriver, who started that Special Olympics, and I seem to recall that she put like 50-some years into it because it was so important to her. So that seems like a lifelong calling. Maybe you've got the same thing, Patricia. I don't know. But I think you do need some kind of impetus like that and just a lot of determination, and it sounds like you've got that in spades.
Yeah.
Well, you do, because most of the executive directors, which is different than my position, it's similar but different, but most executive directors in the nonprofit arena burn out in 10 years. It's 8 to 10 years, and it might even be less in today's climate. I don't know, but it used to be 8 to 10 years, and they're burned out. So, it's just something to really think about, and that's why a lot of boards change within nonprofits, because some of them they're committed for 2 years and then they leave and then they come back. So it's something to think about in running a nonprofit. Is what are you doing for self-care? What are you doing to build up your board or your volunteers or your staff that you have to be able to step aside, because you don't want to get burned out. You want it to sustain.
No, of course
and
not.
for me personally, that's a struggle that I deal with daily with the organization, is how am I going to keep this going if something happens to me? I want my legacy to be that this organization continues, that it doesn't go away.
Okay. Well, speaking of not going away, but we have to, it's time to take another break. Did you like that segue? I did.
That's pretty good.
Pretty nice, yeah. Anyway, I'm Darwin.
I'm Ernie.
And I'm Suzanne.
And you're listening to Mind the Business Radio. Ernie, why don't you tell everybody how they can get a hold of us?
Well, they can go to our website, which you mentioned, mtbradio.com or mindthebusinessradio.com, and they can listen to us on the website, on iHeart, on Spotify, and iTunes.
Yes. Great. We have a big audience, too. So anyway, we'll be right back right after this.
Does your business sell products or data to customers in Europe? Do customers from the European Union stay at your hotel or bed and breakfast? If you answered yes, then a new international law applies to you. It's called GDPR, and it could potentially bankrupt your business if you choose to ignore it. To find out more about GDPR, go to www.mindthebusinessradio.com and click on the GDPR Turbo Pack link. Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Mind the Business. I'm Suzanne.
I'm Darwin.
And I'm Ernie.
And today we're talking social entrepreneurism. specifically nonprofits with Patricia Wenskunas. Patricia, what an amazing story you have. But before I ask my question, I want to say hi to our listeners in Norway. Thank you for listening, everybody there. It sounds like you had a personal reason to start this nonprofit. And does that carry you through when you have to work all these amazing hours and you put all this time in? Do you have to keep remembering why you're doing it? Is there some office you've got with your mission statement painted right across that wall, or do you not need that kind of reminder? Is it just always there in the back of your mind?
What I went through is always there with me. It doesn't define me, and it's a struggle, to be honest with you, because as a survivor, most survivors, they'll go on with their life and they don't have to eat, sleep, and breathe it 24 hours a day. It never goes away, but they don't eat, sleep, breathe it like I do. And with the organization, I think what people don't probably understand as much is that I do eat, sleep, and breathe it every day. So every time that I'm working with a victim, every time I'm doing a training, every time I'm at my office, it is a reminder. And that's not always easy, to be honest with you, because it's in my face 24/7. Although I'll never forget it, no matter what the situation or circumstance is, it is there constantly. But it also allows other survivors that we're helping and other victims to be able to know that they can have hope for healing. That, our organization is out there to bring awareness to the community, to let them know that crimes can happen everywhere. How do you prevent crimes from happening? So prevention is a key component.
Oh, okay.
Advocacy. So for me, I'm advocating day in and day out. But then I'm also setting a good example to say that there's healing. There's hope for healing. I was victimized, but I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. I'm thriving. But even more than that, I'm Patricia Wenskunas. I'm a leader in the community, and I want to give that hope to other victims.
Okay, so that's what's driving you, I think, now, huh?
I would say absolutely. It drives me every single day to want to be able to allow other victims to have a voice. So in essence, I'm giving a voice to the voiceless.
Okay.
Well, it seems like if you're going to run a nonprofit and a charitable organization, it seems like the biggest asset is passion. And how important is that in starting and running a nonprofit?
I think it's extremely important. I think that the passion is what drives the mission. I think it drives the commitment. It drives the dedication. I think when you see people that get into it, and I've witnessed it many, many times, if you get in it whether it's starting the organization, whether you're a board member, whether you're a volunteer, or a staff member, and you get in it for the money, I don't think it's good for organizations. I think I think some of those larger organizations, they have a lot of money and they can do a lot more. But to me, I think the passion and the purpose is what drives the organization to make a greater impact. So I think even though I wish we had money, in essence, and because we could do so much more, I'm never willing to sell my heart or my soul for the almighty dollar.
Oh, boy, that's great. That's good to hear. We're kind of in a unique situation right here on the show, and that is that we have Patricia, but we also have a board member, which is Ernie. He's on the board of Crime Survivors, and I think it'd be a great question right now to ask Ernie his unique aspect of this. What is your calling? How do you feel about being on the board?
Well, it's a lot of fun to see all the survivors, just picking their lives back up, and you see it at the events that we have, and sometimes you just can't tell that they have survived the crime because of the work that Patricia does.
Okay, that's good. So, it's just you have a whole board of people like Ernie who have different takes on being a part of crime survivors, and does this like build and strengthen the fabric of your organization?
what do you mean by that?
Well, you have all this, you have a 9-member board, but they're all different in personality and in, so many different ways, but they all add their unique aspect to the organization. Does that help strengthen the organization?
I think it does. I think it, I think if you don't want to have all the same personalities, all the same careers, all the same everything, you want to be able to have a different and unique dynamic to where you have, some people are in it for their personal reasons. Some people are in it for their professional reasons. And yet they're all committed to be able to build up the organization and to, be committed to the victims and the survivors and the family members and to the community. And more important is really to public safety in their communities. So I think sometimes it's hard to manage whether you're a corporation or whether you're a nonprofit or whatever it is. It's kind of like going to Thanksgiving dinner, I guess, and there's going to be a family member that's going to disagree with you, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have that in business and in the nonprofit arena, but you want that dynamic. You don't want everyone to agree with everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing about our board is we're all friends.
Oh, I guess that helps.
Yeah. That does help. Yeah. Yep. I have to tell you.
And I think that's good.
Yeah.
So, Patricia, I guess part of your skill set has to be asking for money all the time, right?
It is. It's definitely asking for money, asking people to attend programs, asking people to attend events, and that's why I got the reputation of being persistent, I guess, or a pain in the you-know-what. But if it's also the responsibility of the board to raise money as well. It's also the, community to be able to believe in what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But if I didn't ask, that's why sometimes I feel like, God, I'm continuously asking. And I know people think, God, you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
But if I didn't ask, I wouldn't be able to help the thousands of victims that we as an organization help.
Exactly. But I'm sure you weren't really good at that in the beginning. It's something that you had to get better at over the years, right?
Well, I don't think of it as asking for the dollar. So I know a lot of people they feel they can't ask people for money. They're like, I can't do it.
Uh-huh.
But I don't ask for the money. I ask for the help and the support to be able to help victims.
Okay.
So for me, I've never been afraid of the ask because I know the reality is we need it in order for me to be able to reach out to victims and provide them what they need.
Okay.
So you're asking to help others.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, which is different than can I have some money? That's a different phrase entirely.
Speaking of events, I know that I was in a band, and we played a couple of your events over in Irvine some years ago, and I was looking at the event and all the vendors and all of the people there helping to support crime survivors on that day. I think it was a run, wasn't it, Ernie?
Yeah, a run walk, yes.
A run walk. That must be a challenge to put together.
It is a challenge. It's very difficult to put together events. It's very difficult to raise money to cover the expenses of the event. And, thank you for being there and doing, you guys played amazing. And on top of that, you donated it and your time and your talents and your services. And so for me, above and beyond asking for money, that's what I always tell people. If you don't have the money, you could still give. You have a gift. You have a talent. You have something, whether you play in the band, whether you're a videographer, whether you're a photographer, whether you're a DJ, whether you do artwork, whatever it is, you can give to a nonprofit. You can give to a charity. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the almighty green dollar in a sense. So putting on events, though, it's difficult. So that's what we try to get. We try to get to where we don't have to pay expenses for DJ or a band or photographer or videographer for any of that stuff, so that the money that is raised can go towards direct program support.
Okay.
But it takes a lot to put on those events, trust me, and it's not easy. And, sometimes we only have a committee of one or a committee of two, so it's not easy.
Okay. Well, everybody, you're listening to Mind the Business Radio. We're going to take another quick break, and we're going to get back with Patricia in a moment, and we'll be right back right after this.
Does your business sell products or data to customers in Europe? Do customers from the European Union stay at your hotel or bed and breakfast? If you answered yes, then a new international law applies to you. It's called GDPR, and it could potentially bankrupt your business if you choose to ignore it. To find out more about GDPR, go to www.mindthebusinessradio.com and click on the GDPR Turbo Pack link.
All right, everybody, welcome back to this edition of Mind the Business, and actually this segment of Mind the Business. I'm Darwin.
I'm Ernie.
And I'm Suzanne.
Patricia, I noticed, you have a lot of community support as far as the law enforcement and other community support, the city and government and stuff. Is that hard to put together? I mean, is it hard to convince, these services to come in and either speak or help?
Oh, I just threaten them.
Okay, well, that works, yeah. Okay.
I just
Or they get that daily call.
Daily call. All right. You know what, Patricia? Whatever works. Right?
For me, it is one of the proudest things that I am is it's been earned, it has not been given. And especially for our organization, because I was very outspoken about my case and my situation and circumstance, and I kind of went against the grain of government and stuff. But I also know within law enforcement, it's one of the reasons why I'm still breathing and as strong as I am, because they supported me. They went above and beyond the call of duty. Mm-hmm. And for me, working with them is, that was all earned. And so the relationships that we've established has all been earned, and I'm very proud of that. One of the things that have changed with me, and I guess has hurt the organization in probably the last 3 years, is I used to be out there constantly at all the political events. I used to be out there in the media constantly, and it really helped our organization a great deal. But about 3 years ago, I put in a big effort to be able to not be out there. So I stopped going to events. I stopped going to the media. Mm-hmm. But then I realized recently that it's kind of hurt our organization because I'm not out there. But I changed personally where I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about, for me personally, I want to do good without being known. Mm-hmm. And I now am stuck because I don't know how that's going to sit with the organization, because that means we have to have a spokesperson and we have to have someone out there, because otherwise you kind of go away if you're not in the middle of everything.
Yeah, Ernie's a good spokesperson.
Yeah, I'm just looking at him right here going,
about that.
Maybe Ernie's the guy.
Just call him every day. He'll do it.
Yeah. Anyway, Patricia, so why don't you go ahead and tell us your story?
Well, for me, my story, I guess, is my life, is my truth, is, being victimized. And then, the last time at age 32 is having my personal trainer come into my house, drugged me. That's my face and head in saran wrap, beat me black and blue, screaming that he was going to kill me and kill my son. And, by the grace of God, I was able to get away from that, get over my 12-foot balcony, which I don't know if I fell, if I jumped, or he pushed me. I really don't. All I know is landing and feeling severe pain and eventually getting to my front door to get outside my house, to a neighbor's house, to call 911. And then, just being re-victimized by a system that was supposed to, I believe, protect me and serve justice, so that he could never do this again to someone else. Yeah. But he was charged with deliberate, premeditated attempted murder, burglary in the first degree, assault with a deadly weapon, and criminal threats. And through our legal system, he served approximately 120 days, 5 years anger management, and 5-year probation.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know. That's, wow.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah, that's nothing but discouraging.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And you know what I thought was really bad back then, and that was in 2002. I feel that it's worse in 2018, unfortunately, and it makes me sad because I thought starting the organization would make things so much better.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing that now with all these new laws in the state of California and throughout the nation. You know, we're not seeing that it's not victim friendly anymore. It's offender friendly. It's rehabilitation friendly. And that's sad to me. As a survivor myself, I'm very sad by what's happening.
So you don't feel that the legal system is really on the side of the victim? It seems that way, though.
I think that there's many nonprofits and many government agencies and many elected officials that really do go above and beyond and support victims, and law enforcement that really do. Like I said, I'm a huge fan and supporter of law enforcement. Obviously, there's good and bad everywhere. We know that with priests and ministers and, you know, fitness workers and lawyers and doctors and everything else. So there's good and bad everywhere. I just don't feel that we're in a climate today that is victim-friendly throughout. Although don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that do support victims and are doing amazing things. But on the overall, I would say it's not victim-friendly. And I don't think that victims have a voice.
Yeah, speaking of which, something that very few people know about you is that you had a hand in helping write the Victims' Bill of Rights here, Marsy's Law. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, Marsy's Law came into effect in 2008, which a lot of people still are not aware of, and it took a lot of effort in order to have that written, and some of my personal case was actually written into the law, which was originally written by Steve Ibsen, and then Todd Spitzer and many other people that were involved, and Dr. Henry T. Nicholas put $6 million to get it on the ballot so that the people would pass it in 2008. And the reason why he did that was because his sister, Marsy, was brutally murdered by her ex-boyfriend. She didn't want to date him anymore, broke up with him, and he shot and killed her.
Oh.
So we now have Marsy's Law in the state of California, as well as, I believe, 6 to 7 other states now, because he's going around to different states to get it passed. So it's 17 rights in Marsy's Law. So if you haven't heard of it or know it, please look it up, Marsy's Law. And it gives a voice to victims, but unfortunately with Marsy's Law, you have to ask for it in order to get it. And if you don't know about it, how do you get it?
Ask, yeah.
And then if you don't get your rights, there's really nothing you can do about it. But at least we have it, and hopefully we don't lose all of them.
Yeah, I know.
It's a start.
I know it's unfortunate because the criminals get the Miranda rights, and a victim has to ask for the Marsy's Law rights. Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
But how do you ask if you don't know? There you go.
Yeah. Well, maybe. To me, law enforcement should be saying,
or maybe your
talking
lawyer
to a victim,
should say,
you have the right to. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's work on that. Huh?
Well, it's supposed to be given out. It's supposed to be given out by law enforcement. It's supposed to be given out by the advocates and the district attorneys. But sometimes it doesn't happen, unfortunately, for whatever reason. Or sometimes maybe it is given, and sometimes the victims are dealing with PTSD and anxiety and depression. They don't remember getting it, or for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So they need to be reminded throughout the process.
Okay. Wow. It sounds like a tangled mess in a way, which is sad. But you know what? Maybe we can all work through it and kind of straighten it all out.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, because there needs to be some work done. Anyway, you're listening to Mind the Business. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk to Patricia and find out how the contact details and things like that.
And how to donate.
And how to donate, yeah. And we'll be back right after this. You're listening to Mind the Business Radio.
Does your business sell products or data to customers in Europe? Do customers from the European Union stay at your hotel or bed and breakfast? If you answered yes, then a new international law applies to you. It's called GDPR, and it could potentially bankrupt your business if you choose to ignore it. To find out more about GDPR, Go to www.mindthebusinessradio.com and click on the GDPR Turbo Pack link.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this segment of Mind the Business. We've been talking to Patricia Wenskunas, founder and CEO of Crime Survivors, Inc. And so, Patricia, if people want to know more about the organization and how they can help, where can they go?
Yeah, they can go to our website, which is crimesurvivors.org, and they can find about our mission, our vision, our programs, our services, kind of like a who, what, why, as well as go there if you're in need of help or support or guidance. We have all of our programs, all of our services, all of our events on our website. Again, it's crimesurvivors.org. You can also give us a call. We have a toll-free number, which is 844-853-HOPE. HOPE. And then, you can also reach out to us via email if you'd like at info@crimesurvivors.org.
All right. I heard you currently moved into a nice facility.
We did, and we're really, really excited about that. Obviously, it's the Crime Survivors Resource Center that I've been wanting to have for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're able to change a lot of our programs, a lot of our services to really provide direct services now to victims at a location, which is very, very helpful. And it's growing, and it's great success.
Oh, good.
But, the reality is that we need to raise dollars now. And although, that's the hardest thing, is that's what it takes to be able to hire staff and to move forward to help more victims.
Yeah. What are some of the services you offer there?
Yeah, so right now we're doing our weekly PEP classes, which is personal empowerment classes. It's a 10-week series, so they can come to that. We have our monthly support group, our Art for Healing class, our vision board workshop, self-defense and safety classes. We have our counseling and therapy. We have our week legal advocacy program, which a lawyer comes every week in order to meet with victims and give them legal support. We have direct services. Like today, I have someone coming to pick up a bed and a mattress, a victim. I have diapers and baby wipes. I have clothes, food.
Oh, gosh.
So depending, victims are coming in and out, and dependent upon what that victim needs. So we do an intake first. We talk to them. We find out where they're at, what they need, and then we also provide wraparound services, so that if we're not able to help and support them with our direct services, we work with dozens of other, if not hundreds of other organizations in order to refer them to other locations to be able to get the necessary tools and help and support.
Wow.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does sound amazing. Why don't you give us your website and your phone number one more time?
Sure. It's crimesurvivors.org, and then the toll-free number is 844-853-HOPE, HOPE.
All right. Thank you.
That's what you sell, hope.
Yeah,
like
thank you,
that.
Patricia. Yeah, selling, giving hope, and
to those who need it.
Yeah, and like I say, we're working through it, and hopefully we'll get all this untangled, so that victims can have what they need to get through what they've been through. So, and
we just want to balance the scales of justice.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for what you do, too.
Yeah, and thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been Mind the Business, and I'm Darwin.
I'm Ernie.
And I'm Suzanne.
And we will catch you next time. Mind the Business Radio was produced in association with Taylor Pacific Video. Copyright 2018.